Hey makers and artists, I'm Amy, and on this channel we talk about how your creative gift has value. I'm here today to talk about journaling and why it's such a great habit, it's such a great thing to start, and why I want to really encourage you and make you enthusiastic about the idea of starting a journal if you don't have one right now, or if you've had one in the past but you've kind of fallen away from it. Okay, so it's 2019, the year's almost halfway through. It's time to kind of look back and see what resolutions we've kept, what habits we've been able to create that we wanted to create, and what we still can do. It's not too late, the year's not even halfway through yet, so let's reassess and revisit. What are some good habits and good creative things that we want to do to encourage ourselves as artists and makers to be living the life we want to live? Today I want to talk about journaling because I think that is really one of the great supportive habits that you can have, and I'm going to talk about all kinds of different journals. There's so many different ways to journal. You can certainly find one that feels right to you and that's right for what you need right now to develop. I jump around all over the place in my journals and what kind of journaling I'm doing from year to year. So one of the first reasons I want to mention, and it's something I alluded to in the introduction, is to develop a habit of creativity in your life. Journaling every day or just making it a habit of something you do regularly is a really good way to just build that muscle, develop that muscle of creativity. There are a couple of books I want to refer you to if you haven't read them. One of them is The Artist's Way. It came out in the early 90s probably. I've had this copy probably since then, but it's still something that people read and talk about a lot. And morning pages, you've probably heard that around on the internet. That's something that Julia Cameron, the author, encourages you to do. Everybody, any creative person, to get up every morning and just write 3 pages of free-flowing thoughts, whatever is in your head, that it helps you build this habit of creativity. It also helps you kind of empty your mind and open it up for new creative things. It helps you just kind of get some stuff out that you've been thinking about and figure out where to go from there. So it's a really good morning habit. A lot of people like the morning pages habit, just writing longhand, any thoughts, uncensored, just let your brain kind of go where it wants to go. Another book that's a great book by Twyla Tharp, right here. It's called The Creative Habit, Learn It and Use It for Life. And this is a good book. I came to it because of my dance history. Her art is choreography, but you don't have to be a choreographer to learn from this. This is about all kinds of creatives. Her argument in this book is that you develop that muscle and that habit of showing up every day, not just when the muse is there and you're feeling all this inspiration. When you are a working, real professional artist, you got to show up every day, whether the muse is with you that day or not. And what she argues is that making that habit, doing it every day, doing the work just like everybody else does, you show up every day, you sit down at your desk to write, or you show up every day, you stand up at your easel to paint, or you show up every day in the studio to choreograph. Doing that and being there is going to create the habit that you will be able to make things and be creative and do your art whether you feel like it that day or not. You're going to be able to call on that muse and have it visit you more often, not just when this whim arises. And that's what professional artists have to do. You don't get to just do a painting once every 3 months because that's when you have the inspiration. You have to show up every day to do the work if you're a professional. So this book is a great resource for learning more about that. A second great reason to start this habit of journaling is for goal setting and goal tracking. Like I said, I've been keeping various journals for the last 20, 30 years, and it's really interesting to go back and see some of the things I've written in there. I just found one the other day. This was funny to me. It's really great to list your dreams of what you want to achieve and then see later how you've done and what is still important to you and what isn't. This page I found that says 2001 Pie in the Sky Dreams. And these are things I wrote that I was hoping for, this stuff I wanted to achieve. A lot of them are things that I have achieved, a lot of them are things that I still want to achieve, and it was a lot of things about myself and how I want to work and what kind of environment I want to be in every day, what kind of people I want to work around, what kind of space I want to be in. Those are important things to think about. A journal is a great place to let your mind sort of ponder those things and come up with some answers. I also want to encourage you that if you're sitting there going, I'm an artist, I'm not a writer, and the whole writing thing, long form journalism is not my deal, I'm a visual person, a journal can be anything. This journal is a black and white, a black paper journal that I wrote on with different colored stuff and glued stuff into, and it was creative to me. and it was really fulfilling. And that was one that was different than a lot of my written out word journals, but you can do anything that suits you and that feels like you, and that's a great place to start if you're a visual artist type person. Okay, reason number 3 to start journaling is working out creative problems. A while back I was weighing a bunch of different things I was considering doing, and what I ended up doing was in a special journal I wrote on each page the different options I was considering. Then I wrote pros and cons and how I felt about each thing, and I was able to go through and then kind of almost create a scoring system and then attach a yes, no, maybe to each different page and each different idea. I'll show you just kind of what it looks like. This one was a no. After I worked through, this one was a yes, a no. The blue ones were maybes. So it helped me narrow down like where I wanted my real focus to be over the next few years. And it was really a helpful tool. For me, writing or working things out on paper, I guess as an artist and a creative person, is really where I can do some of my best thinking. I know my husband likes to talk through stuff when he's trying to make a decision. And I like that too, but only after I've wrestled with it on paper with sketches or diagrams or written out words and ideas about what I'm thinking about. I really do a lot of thinking, working it out. It's almost like having a conversation with myself in a journal, and a journal is great for that. Reason number 4 to start a journal in 2019 is brain dump. Sometimes you just need a place to put all that stuff down that's in your head and know that it's on paper somewhere so that you won't lose it. A bullet journal is great for this kind of thing. Hopefully you've seen some things about bullet journaling. Google it if you haven't. There's a whole lot of videos and stuff about bullet journaling. It's a great way to keep your to-do list and your calendar together and have a lot of flexibility in creating the system that you want. And I think for visuals and creatives, it's a nice system because it involves kind of drawing and creating it yourself. You can change it month to month to suit the needs that you have that month. You draw in your own calendar. You put in the things that you need, but then you also just have lists. I know I'm somebody who, I have a lot of tasks, but not a whole lot of appointments. So there are things that need to happen this week, but they don't necessarily need to happen at 9:30 on Thursday morning. So a bullet journal is a nice hybrid where you can have a whole lot of lists and a whole lot of even just creative ideas you're having where you want to get that down on something, but you also can have your calendar in here. Reason number 5 to start journaling in 2019 is reflection. It's a great way to get to know yourself. Like I said, I've been keeping journals on and off for the past 30 years, and I can go back and look at them, and there are just themes that pop up over and over again. There are times that I've been wrestling with something I didn't even realize. I'll go back and look through my journal over the past year or two and see how often this popped up as a point of conflict, and it kind of will make me realize like some things that need to change in my life or some things that are going well that I continue to be excited about because I keep on mentioning them or I keep revisiting them in various ways. It really helps you find your inner compass. Sometimes our lives get so busy and hectic that we're just bouncing from one thing to the next and we don't feel like we have a lot of time to reflect. And a journal, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes a day, can over time really start to connect those dots and point you towards your true north and help you find what's important to you. Reason number 6 to start journaling in 2019 is visualization. There are exercises like writing a day in my perfect life, what it looks like. You just write out longhand, describe as if you're living it, what a perfect day in your life looks like. That's a great visualization exercise, and I've done that over the years. There's another one I like to do, which is just like kind of making a diagram. It's sort of like a drawing of all the parts of my life and how they fit together or what's important to me and what makes the inner circle and what doesn't. So I've done different kinds of diagrams. Sometimes they're not inside a journal, they're actually on loose leaf pieces of paper because I journal in a lot of different ways. Here's one that I did in March of 2018. In a world where you can't fail and money isn't an issue, what would you do? Put that in the center of the paper and then see what your top answers are that come up. And then look at how closely does that match your life and how can you get closer to that if that's your goal. Here's another one that just is a diagram of kind of how all the different things I'm interested in and doing, all the different balls in the air, how they can link together and support each other, and how I can find time for all of them while keeping up all my other, personal duties and things that are important to me like family life. Here's one I did I'm not sure how long ago this one was, but at the top of the paper I wrote, "You are here." At the bottom of the paper I wrote, "World domination." And then you start figuring out a plan for how that path happens. How do you get from here to there? Okay, yours doesn't have to say "you are here" and world domination. It can say whatever's happening right now and whatever the big goal is, and then what's the path? I ended up finding like 3 different possible options, and then I had to kind of think about which would be the best direction to go. So diagrams really help me visualize stuff like that, and I consider all that part of journaling. And the 7th and final reason to start a journal in 2019 is to become a better writer or artist. Whatever creative thing it is when you want to do, a journal can help you become better at that. In the most basic way, sometimes I go through periods of life where I'm blogging instead of YouTubing, and keeping a journal where I'm just writing all these stories out that are personal stories to me, a lot of them end up becoming blog posts or something like that. It can be the initial seed of an idea that turns into your next creative thing. Same thing if you're a visual artist and you keep an art journal, a lot of those things can turn into your next painting or your next project. I want to show an example. David Sedaris, if you guys aren't reading him, give it a look because he's a very funny writer. But he keeps a journal and has kept one literally every day of his life, of his adult life, and he writes about what he did that day, and that becomes the material for his highly successful, funny, engaging, and interesting writing. And it all comes out of just the fact that he started journaling and writing about his life and writing these memoirs and these funny pieces, and he's been hugely successful. So anything that you do regularly can help your craft and help you become better. So I want to encourage you all to get out there and find a way to support yourself as an artist and a creative through a journaling habit. I'd also like to ask you to subscribe to this channel so that we can create a group of us creatives who are supporting each other. Click on that bell for notifications because I'm about to go up to the Dallas Market Center again, and they're going to have a wholesale market that's open to the trade only. This time it includes vintage pieces and things like that. I'm going to do some filming to show you what happens back there behind the scenes. So click on that bell so that you can get that video when it pops up, and I hope to see you here next time. Thanks.